Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Okay. So basically today we'll start like knowing something about what is test-driven development. Okay, and we'll cover unit testing in it, and we'll just be covering like a few basics about the framework called QUnit. Okay, it is used in the front-end development. Okay, for JavaScript unit testing. So I'll just start with that. So this is what we'll be looking into today. Okay. We'll be checking today test-driven development and some concepts and a basic example with TDD using QUnit. Okay. If any of you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. Okay. So I'll just start with what is simple testing. Right? Like we all do testing of our code, right? Like when we started, it would be just like you'd echo something, or you'd exit at some point, okay? Uh, or you might use a console.log in JavaScript. So that's a very basic level of simple testing. Okay. So does testing sound interesting to someone? Uh, is it just we have to do it? Does it give you a feeling like you're a detective on finding something? Okay. Sometimes it might be. Okay. Like there is something and you need to find the evidence. Okay. You need to find the hints. You need to ask people what they saw. Okay. And so you get the info and you try to reproduce it. Or sometimes you need to imagine some things because not everything is straightforward, right? Okay. So some basic level of testing which we do is like we write the code and we test it directly in the browser. We reproduce it in the browser, like we just refresh the screen, and also we use like breakpoints in browser and then IDEs. Okay. So the pros to it is that these are simple to debug methods, and you see the results very quick. But uh, it does not cover every aspect. You might miss some aspects, right? And it's also like risk prone. Okay. Amit, Atul, and all. I think I hope you all are able to view it, and I'm audible to you all.
Yeah, we can hear you. I mean, now we can hear you better.
Okay.
Here it was a little bit far away, but we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, I'll do it. Okay. So it's kind of a monotonous and it's sometimes repetitive, like you do it sometimes, and in the long term, it's not productive. Okay. I'll stand this way. Okay, maybe you're able to see it, right? Okay. It's just I won't be able to see you all. Okay. Otherwise, I'll just speak a little louder. Okay. Okay. So I'll start like what is TDD? Has anyone ever done any TDD? Anything? Any coding? I think you have done something, right? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, let me jump outside. Okay. So, as the stands for test-driven development, so it's a practice that embodies a test-first methodology. Okay. You basically start with testing. So that is what TDD stands for. Okay. So TDD is also used in like you can use it in software development and it is also used in day-to-day lives also. It just we are also using it. It just we don't know that we are using it as a method. Okay. So here you can see like there's a basic figure. Okay. So I'll just explain it. Let's say you have a project. Okay. You have a requirement. So let's say any requirement, you have a login page or anything. So what we do usually is like, okay, there's a login page. We take it in mind that okay, it has to be like two input forms. Okay, let's say one input form, two input elements, username, password, and a submit button, right? So we start coding it from the very start, and we just refresh it and we see that okay, it has loaded in the browser. But with TDD, the concept is just a reverse. You just first write the test cases. Okay. So as an example, let's say you want to write a function either in PHP or any server side or JavaScript. Let's say calculator function. So when someone tells you like to write a calculator function, like the basic thing when you do write test cases, it should come to your mind like what a calculator should do. Basic things like addition, multiplication, division. That's the basic thing. Okay. Then on top of it, you can add other results like exponentiation, right? Power of and square root. This is all like on top of it. But this is the basic level you start with. Okay. So if you want to write test cases, so what would be the test cases? It should take a addition. Okay, the interface. So what you do is you would start with initiating the calculator class here, or object, or a function. Then you define an add, subtract, and all those functions. You just test it. Okay. So basically, I will just. So let's say this is my calculator function. Okay. It's a JavaScript function. Okay. So I want to test it, but I'm not written it till now. So in my test case, what will be? So I have to think like how I'm going to instantiate it. Okay, let's say I do new calculator. Okay, and I will assign it to a variable called calc. Okay. Okay, this is the first initialization phase. Okay. Then what I want to do? I want to say, according to the requirement, it says that it should do an addition. Okay. So let's say I'll say it should call like calc dot add. Okay. And I can pass some values like 7 and 5. So I should get something. Let's say this is the result. Okay. So what should 7 plus 5 as per your expectation should give you? 12. So what I do is I check whether 12 is equal to result. Okay. So this is the first test case I run. Okay. First thing. Then what you do is you run this test case. So what will happen if I run this test case first time? Will pass or fail? Why? Because you don't have the function. So the first thing is you write the test cases. Let it fail. So that's the primary thing. Once it fails, then you code it. So I know that it fails. Whether in the browser or in PHP, any code. It will tell you like this code is this add calc function is not defined. So what I'll do, I'll define a function called calc. Okay? This is the basic thing I did. Again I'll run this. Will it pass? Fail. Fail. Because add is not defined. Okay? In a way, it will call this and it will say undefined, right? So let's say I define add. But let's say I won't pass any parameters. Then I'll again run it. So what will be the result? It fails because it doesn't return anything undefined equal to 12. So it doesn't. So that is what happens here. If you come to the figure again, you have the requirement, You write the test cases, you write all the test cases, what are there in the requirement, okay? Then you run the test cases, first time it will fail, then you go to write the code, okay? So when you write the code, the basic thing should be that everything should pass. All the test cases should pass in the minimum, okay? After the test cases pass, then you go on to refactor it. You just wrote a code, it may be big, okay? It's just a raw format, you wrote it and the test cases passed. Once the test cases pass, you refactor and again test the cases. So if anything fails, you know like which case failed, okay? And let's say you had in this main, like let's say the center vertical line, you had a requirement implemented. Let's say after some time a new requirement comes up, okay? So what should be the first thing you should do? Okay, it depends. Like either you need to add a new test case, or you need to change the existing test case, right? Okay. So after you do that, you again run the test cases. Uh, it will again fail, right? Because you have not implemented that. Either it may fail or it may pass also, right? Depends. It, according to the function implemented, if it's a new one. So let's say if it fails after the new requirement, you again refactor, you write it, and again you test the cases. So let's say if something fails in live or QA, and let's say the QA, the file is issue. So what should be the next step? Okay. Yeah. So the first thing which starts is you write a test case. Okay. You write the test case, you run the test cases. Okay. Because when you run the test cases, it will show you like which case failed. So you can look at the particular thing. Okay. This is also a same diagram. It's just a loop wise it shows. Okay. You add test, you see the fail, test fail, then you write code to satisfy the test, and then you run the test, then you refactor, and again you come back to adding tests. Any questions so far? Okay, this one we'll go after a little bit. Okay, BDD. Okay, a real life example. Any real life, like this is we are taking it with a software development, right? Let's say Taylor. So they also do unit testing in a way, right? You go to a tailor, they take your measurements, right? They do not start cutting, right? You tell them like to this is my height, and okay, they don't start cutting it straight away, right? They measure twice, like whatever. They do the sketches, they do the prototypes, okay? They have the tools, okay? So they measure it, then they start cutting. While they cut, they also again match with the. So if you can see, you have the project requirement, they have the cloud requirement, right? So they do the prototypes using sketches and software models. We do the test cases. Every minute they cut and they check with the specification. Similarly, we do the running test cases and we do the code development again and again. Okay. So these are some of the test-driven concepts. So there are basically three steps of test-driven development. First thing is test first, okay? Then make it run, okay? Then refactor or make it better, okay? The three things which we covered in the previous slide, okay? We all know what refactoring is, right? You just restructure the code, rewrite it, or rename something, or remove some functionality, and this helps in designing, readability, and maintaining the code. Okay. There are three A's of unit testing. Okay. Assemble, act, and assert. Okay. So this I'll cover while going through the example. So what is unit test? So when you write a unit test, the focus is on a complete individual function. Okay. So let's say you have a login function. Okay. So when you think of developing a login function, what comes to mind? You can have a HTML form, right? On the backend side, what you can have? One thing is you can have a validation module, like validation unit. Okay. So whatever a unit is, like it should not be dependent on any other code. Okay. That's what a unit module of code is. Okay. Such that it doesn't depend on others. Okay, it is like you have decoupled components and you're just joining them. Okay, to implement a module. Okay, it's like, let's say you have a validation code. Okay, it checks, like we pass it any input element and some regular expression to check against the value. So the core purpose of that should be like to only check a value if it is passed. So that is called a unit function. It should not know anything about session, what username, $get variable, $post. All this it should not know. Its core function is that it should only, if you give it a value, it should only check whether it's correct or not. So that's a unit function. Okay. You might have come across some code like, let's say, you're doing some function, but you pass some values like $_post and $get. You're processing that value inside a function. Okay. So I'll show you some code here. Let's say, so let's say I have a function called validation. Okay. Okay. So here you can, let's say it's doing the validation thing here. You have to pass the input. So what I do, I don't pass the input here. Okay. I just know that it's an input coming from post request. So I pass it, I access it here, like $_post, some variable. Okay. So that in a way does not enable you to do unit testing. Okay. So let's say if you want to unit test this, you cannot, right? Because it has dependencies. It needs $_post. But let's say you have a system here which wants to test this code. Okay? So what you do is, let's say this function is part of a class. Okay? So you will initialize the class. Okay? Then I call class name, then the function name, right? If I want to test like some value is correct or not, I need to pass it, right? The test function will try to pass it. But you don't have anything to pass it here, right? It's relying on the global variables, which is a bad practice because it's not tested. Okay? So if I pass something like, let's say $input and $something, then I can pass a value. And it's not dependent on anything. Okay? It can be tested in a unit way. And so once you are done with unit test, let's say this is one function, okay? Then let's say first the user logged in, you need to validate it, then you need to check with the database. So these are unit functions, right? So you combine these unit functions to test a whole feature, right? Like login, it's a feature, right? It's a combination of things. Like you logged in, then password is checked, session is then validated, all this. So all these units, when all these unit tests satisfy, it's called a end-to-end testing. Basically, you do end-to-end testing for a feature. Okay. Now we won't be covering end-to-end testing here. Okay. So we can do some. You can say like we can develop our own framework for testing, right? Let's say you have an application, you just write like, let's say There is a function, you will initiate it in some test case, some test code. You'll do like if this bit equals to this value, then console.log this. You can start it, but there are already frameworks which exist, which we can use for testing. And they also provide tools and APIs to test. So basically what a test framework does is, it provides a test run, okay? Like you write test cases using that framework, okay? Then it provides you APIs, okay? Like what you need to compare values against. Then once you write that, the framework runs it, all the tests. You just need to run some page or something, okay? Okay, so QUnit is a unit testing framework which is developed by the jQuery team, okay? It's also used for unit testing jQuery UI and jQuery mobile projects, okay? And it's used for unit testing JavaScript code, okay? So here is the basic interface of how a QUnit page would look like. Okay? Let me show you one. Okay, hope all are able to see this, right? Okay. So it starts with, you can see in the blue, it says here like the user agent, okay? So that it can help you like in taking screenshots and sharing with any user, okay? Like you tested it in this browser, okay? Then it gives you an information like test completed in 23 milliseconds, okay? And it shows you the test here it ran, okay? And when you click on it, it shows like it has passed. It's just in green, but on screen it's showing as red, okay? Okay, and how much time the test took, okay? You can run a specific test again by clicking on the rerun button here, okay? And there are some check boxes here. Let's say hide past tests. So let's say you're testing many things. So you would like to focus on the things which fail, right? So you can hide the past tests, okay? And there is another feature like no try catch. So let's say something is throwing an exception in a code. So what it does is it runs the test case inside the try catch and it shows you the message, okay? If you don't want that and you just want to see the exception while it is running, then you can disable it, okay? And another thing is check for globals, okay? So what check for globals is like, let's say you have some code. During running the test cases, you should never like update the globals. That is a very wrong practice, right? Let's say you have some global variable like window dot is user logged in is equal to 1. But while testing, let's say you are updating the value to 0. That may affect your testing, right? Because you're changing the global variables, which you should not. Because basically unit tests should be independent of each other, like I showed you. There should not be any dependency. So what it shows is like, before running the test cases, it takes into view what are the global variables and whether during the unit testing any global variables are changed, okay? Then it shows you here, okay? Any question?
But that you have to write the test cases like you want to show the global variables and not all these things, or it will automatically show.
No, let's say in the unit test, let's say you have something in your code like window dot is user logged in. Let's say during unit testing you change the value to 0. So it will show you like you are changing this value during unit testing, so that you know that you are doing it in a valid way and that you are informed. Okay. Okay. So here are some like API sample use cases. Okay. It's like you can use the OK. It's just like it checks like if it is a true expression or not. Okay, like 2 plus 5. That's a true expression. So if you pass 2 plus 5 to OK, it will just give you a true. Test is passed. If you pass as false, it will give you a failed status. Okay, I'll show you the usage of all this. Okay, so anyone has downloaded the files? It's fine. Okay, I'll show you like how it looks like here. Okay, I hope you are able to view this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the QUnit page we viewed. Okay, so it is basically one part here. You have the QUnit one CSS file, which shows you all the visuals, and it has a QUnit Dev here. Okay, and it has a QUnit Fixture here, and the QUnit JS file. Okay, which runs the test cases. Okay, and there is the test.js file, which is the code to where I written the tests. Okay, so I tell you like what these two fields are for. Okay, so you start writing it with capital Q unit. Okay, dot test. You write a name for the test. Okay, then in the second parameter you pass a function. Okay, and it takes an assert argument. Okay, then what you can do is you can use the APIs like assert.OK 1 equal to 1. Then it is passed. Okay, so this is basic level which I showed you here. Are you able to view this, right? Okay, anyone can tell what we are doing here? It just I'm showing some API usage. I have not yet done any testing, serious testing.
Equal output is 0 equals to 0.
Okay.
Passing input and first parameter as an input and second parameter as expected.
Yes. And third as a message you can display when it succeeds. Okay. No questions. Right? It also has an API called deep equal. Okay, let's say you have two JavaScript objects and you want to test like each key value pair of this object is equal to the key value pair of this object. So deep equal can help you in this. Okay. one thing here is like, let's say you are running a test, okay, and you have a callback, okay, like let's say you are asserting something, like it went into this function, then again it has an if-else condition, okay, let's see. So you are also testing that. So in total you know that it should run 2 asserts, okay, like 2 test cases it should run. So in that case, like at the very first you can tell like assert.expect to, like you are expecting to run 2 asserts, okay. So inside this we have like 2 asserts. One is it comes here, okay, then it runs here. First, it runs this assert, then it runs this assert. So in total, it runs 2 asserts, right? So let's say if you miss any assert by mistake, then it will show you like even if one test passed and the other was not touched upon, it will show that it failed. Okay. So it shows that it ran 2 tests. Okay. Any question? Anything you would like to share? Okay. Okay. It has a very interesting thing here. Like in JavaScript, you usually face this asynchronous callbacks, right? Like you are making an Ajax call and you want to test it also. Okay. So what it does is like in the previous cases, what it did, it serially runs the tests. If there is a asynchronous callback, it just bypasses it. It doesn't wait for it to complete. Okay. So let's say if you have a set timer or an Ajax call, okay, and you want to assert something inside after you get the response of the Ajax call or the timeout passed, okay. So what it says is, here you can see that we start with assert expect to. We are saying we are expecting 2 asserts, okay. Then if you know that the assert you are going to do is an asynchronous assert, okay, then you can issue like assert.async. What it gives you is a done function, which you can call after you're done with the assert call, okay, so that the test runner knows that your asynchronous call is completed, okay. So what it does here is, I have a set timeout here, which will run after 5 seconds, okay. But what the test runner will do is, it will pass to here, okay. But it knows that there is a done here, okay. So once this set timeout completes, it does an assert dot equal to a input element, okay. Then I'm doing done. So I'm saying that the asynchronous assert which I wanted to test has been completed, and now you can like process it. Okay. Let's say another example. Let's say I want to do a Ajax request to a PHP page, okay, and get some response back. Okay. So what I'm doing here is, I gave a call to Ajax done equal to assert of async, and then I made a backend Ajax request. Okay. So after it completes, I'm checking whether the response I got back is equal to the value Ajax. Okay. And after that, I'm saying that the assert check is done. Okay. So that the test runner shows you after this Ajax is complete. This basically tells the test runner to wait for your call to complete. Okay. So let me show you this. Okay, so you can see that it's running something, right? It received the asynchronous response quickly, then it completed the second one after 5 seconds. Let's show again. So you see it completed this one, it's waiting for this request, then it completed after 5 seconds. Okay? Okay. So previously I had shown you like there was in the main page there was an element called QUnit Fixture, right? So fixtures are like the data you want to test during the test case. Okay. So every test case is an independent unit. Okay. Like one test should not depend on the other. And let's say you want to test something for the same data. So let's say you're during one unit test you're modifying the data. You wouldn't want that modified data to be used for the second test again, right? You again want the refreshed original data again, right? So let's say you're testing some HTML function. Let's say form element is there, you're filling it up with some name, and you're doing a dollar click, and you're checking something, okay? You're asserting some value which it showed you. So let's say what this does is the first test, it appends a div, okay, to the QUnit fixture. Then it checks if a div was appended to that QUnit fixture or not. So it gives you a length of 1 because you appended something to it. So when you check for another, let's say you are appending a span, you want again a very fresh data. You don't want to like have the div element in the previous element. This is like you want to do independent testing. Okay. So in that case, what QUnit fixture gives you is like after one test completes, it again refreshes back to the original data which it had. Okay. This makes sense? Are you able to view the code?
Yes.
Okay. So another thing QUnit provides is like it allows you to group some tests into a module. Let's say you have some tests written, but you want to group similar logic into a complete module. Like it will show you in the interface that these tests have passed under the grouping module. Then you run it for another module. So your tests remain organized, and it shows you like these tests have run under this. And another thing it provides you is like, for this what you do is, you define it to start like QUnit.module group it, then you write the test. So those tests belong to that module. Okay? Then you start another module, then you mention the test. In some cases, what you would like to do is, let's say, before running every test, okay? Let's say you have 5 tests in the module, but before running each test, you want another test to be run. Either what you can do is you can repeat the test inside every test, or what you can do, this module provides you like before each function. So before each test is run, it runs this test, and after each it provides like after the test is run, it runs this test. Okay. Like there are some use cases. Let's say you have some form element, okay? You want to test something, but before testing something, you want to add some element to it, okay? It's just some initialization test you want to do and post initialization test you want to do. Any questions so far? Like I'm basically done with QUnit. Like you can ask me like what are like anything you have any question.
And how it is when we will need a like down dependent things.
Like
Let's say you're writing down really.
Down.
When down is ready, then we're making some functions, right? Like calling one function.
yes.
So how it do it?
QUnit
If it is simple function, we know like we can run the QUnit test,
yes.
right? But if it is dependent on the down, with most of the JavaScript functions we are writing based on the down. When the down is ready, then do this.
Yes.
Right? So how will it handle this?
Basically, QUnit takes care of this document.ready. Like whenever your document is ready, it runs the test. Let's say you're testing some click function.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you click something you're expecting, right? So you can write it here. I'll show you something. Okay, so here you can see that. Okay, so here you can see that we have written a asynchronous function. Okay, so at the very start we are doing a var input $hash test input dot focus. Okay, so let's say this test input is in the QUnit fixture. Okay, inside. So we have given it a focus. Then after 5 seconds, what we are checking is assert.equal document.activeElement. So that is the active element because we are focused on it. Okay. So after that, and we are checking like the first input in the page, because we know that it is the only input in the page. So our expected result is that it will be the value. So we are comparing these two elements. So let's say you are saying something about. Okay, so this is visible. Okay, so what this does is basically it logs like if you have a Keydown function. Okay, so this is the function to be tested. Okay, so what this function does is if you press a Keydown event, like any key you press it, it logs the key code of it. Okay, and that we want to test in the QUnit. Okay, so here you can see first thing we did is var dot. We are getting a reference to the document. Then we are getting the keys. Okay, that is the new key logger. We have just initialized it. Okay, because it takes the target as the you can pass it the target. There is a document object. Then we just call it function. Okay, like doc.trigger. So what we are saying here is the basic thing which this gives us is like it will give you like the key code, right? Whatever you pressed. So we want to know like if we press this, it should give us that value, right? So what we do here is we do a document.trigger and we give it an event called Keydown. This is a basic jQuery event, okay, like a key press. It gives you like a emulation of that event, okay. So we have this keylogger function in the keys object, right? Like this keylogger thing, okay. So here you can see that once we did this keydown event, so it should store some value in its log, right? Because that is its basic function. Like what we are seeing as a, let's say in the real life, like in the browser, what we are seeing, you're pressing some enter, it logs its value. That's the what we did in the real, and it's logging it, right? But here we want to test it like we won't be able to press it, right? Because that is what unit tests are about. You try to emulate the test cases, right? So here what we do is we call the trigger object, okay, on the dollar document for the keydown event. We pass this keydown event, okay. So and it has a key code of 9, okay. So when this happens, this code should automatically log that value, right? That is what it should do. So after that, we check like using a deep equal whether the keys.log matches with the value 9. So this is like how you can check a event. So similarly, if you tell me any case like you want to test, like in dollar document. Let's say you have a username and password field. You have a submit button. Okay. Let's say on clicking of submit, it does an AJAX request, and if it fetches it, after the username, it puts a, let's say an extra element called input error, okay, something. So let's say you want to test whether it's appending the input element correctly. Okay. So you have a wrong username and password in the QUnit.test. After that, what you do is you write like you submit that button, you get a reference to the button, and you do a click event on that. Okay. First thing you do is you set the input values on those elements. Okay. Then you do a trigger on the click event. So after that, what you can do is you will wait for the AJAX event to complete. So after the AJAX event completes, then after that you will check whether input value and you will search for it. So that is the expected value. That is what asserts help you. Okay. Any question? Looks like you all have lots of questions, I think, or it's getting boring. Any question? Any random question? Anything? It may not be related to this QUnit. Just testing. Like because after this I'll just show you. Okay, let me show you how we'll do unit testing. Okay.
QUnit has some limitation where it can go to all the cases of your JS code. It can
It's not a fully supplied framework. It has its limitations. Okay. It depends. Like I'm not gone into like very deep. Like how much, what are its like weaknesses, like how where it cannot be used. But for basic unit testing, you can use it. Okay. Okay. Let's say my requirement is that I have to write a function called calculator, and the client has told me that it should have 4 functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So how do I go about it? Like, where will I start? So if you can see here, I have 3 pages here, 3 files here. One is the test case intro.html, where we will see the test running, and in the third file we will write tests. First file is the calc.js, where we have to write the function. So where I'll start with? Okay, I'll start with this, right? Okay. Okay, then what should be the next step? Okay. Okay, I just told you one thing. I had 3 A's of unit testing, right? They were assemble, act, and assert. So one thing is you assemble whatever code you want to run. Like you want to test some function, right? So you get that assemble it. Okay. Act means you run it. So when you run it, you get some result. Then you assert it, like expected versus the result you got. Okay. So keeping that in mind, how we proceed for the calculator.
The calculation, the basic thing that we need is addition, subtraction.
Okay. So first thing what I do?
First thing we will initialize our cal function that we will throw earlier.
Okay. Any how?
You can create module, different
Let's say it's a JavaScript function. We'll go with a basic object prototype. So how I'll proceed? Hmm? Yes, but where you will add the add function?
I was thinking that you first write the add function, then reference it and pass the variable.
What you make first?
First you write your add function in your normal JS file.
But
And
that is
then-
not the practice. You first
Yeah.
need to write the. Anyone else? Okay, I'll just maybe you know all, but just not. Let's say I'll give it here, where calc equal to okay. So this is what I told you. I have to write the function like a prototype which does the calculation. So this is the initial phase. So here what one can do is like you can go and run it again. But let's complete the test cases. So after this, what would be the next step? Let's say, okay, what I want to do here is let's make it more unit test. I'll just say I want to test only addition inside this. Okay. So what are the test cases like assert conditions you can take for a add? For a 2-parameter unit. How you will call the add? Basically, you are testing the add function, right? We need to call that, right? So how will you call that? Okay, calc.add. Yes. Okay. So what will pass it?
The parameter
What
any values 7.
Okay, 7 5. 2 you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 5. We'll store it in a result. Or what we can do is we can do like assert dot. Okay, we had something here, I think. Let's say strict equal values because we want to be more strict. Okay? So that would be 12. Okay. Okay, we can give a message. Positive numbers. So in this way, you added one specification, like it should add 2 positive numbers. What else should it cover? The addition. Yeah, add 2 negative numbers. That is also yes. Okay, after this, which 2 numbers you want?
Positive, negative.
Okay, let's say 2 negative first. Okay, minus 6 you are expecting, right? Okay. Then what? After this? Okay, combination of minus 1 after this I write. Again after this?
You can try passing only one parameter also, or no parameters.
Decimal?
What?
String, decimal.
String?
String or decimal.
Okay. You are saying Nancy one only, right?
One parameter and without parameter.
You are saying it will return what? What it should return?
It should return error, something like parameter expected or something like that. 2 parameters expected or something.
Okay. So what should it should not return it?
Yeah, it should fail. So if it is fail, then what will be expected will be that.
That is what you have to define.
False.
No, false as well.
False.
False. So you can see here, like in a way you are designing the API. Okay. So what one would usually do is like you go to developing the function, you write it, then you think, okay, if that is okay, let's pass false. Okay, we not pass it. Then let's just return 0. But here you are defining the overall like structure of your code. Like here we learn like how we can define the dot add, how we can give the name of a calculator. Okay, so here basically you like overally like designing the code, right? Because here you are saying that you have to pass 2 parameters. So you have already defined like how it is going to be your code. Then you are also saying what is the return behavior. So it's kind of a specification you are providing that it should handle 2 positive numbers, and like Nancy said, if you pass a number, it can either be like, let's say if you pass a number, the other can be considered as a 0. That depends on the client specification. Let's say if you pass only one number, then it should show an error, or it should return false or some undefined. So that is the kind of specification you are providing, and in a way it adds to your documentation also. Okay. Okay, that is the thing. So if I okay, any other case?
Same numbers with the opposite sign will be return 0. I minus 5.
Yes, that we did like positive negative. For addition, multiplication we will change. Okay. So okay. And another thing Debesh said was that we can add a string. Okay. So let's say if we add a string and a number, what should it return? the number, the first number, or 0 or false. It depends. You can say according to my specification it should return false, or according to my specification it should return the integer value, like converting the string to integer value. So it's returns into 0. Okay. So let's say I'll show you the function. So okay. So here what I'll return is I'm going to do 5 asserts. Okay. First one is a positive positive. Another one was positive negative. Let's say someone says like I want to do. Someone said 2 decimal numbers, right? So according to your specification, it depends like you want to convert them into integer then add it, or you also support decimal addition. Okay. Let's say I'm supporting, so I'm expecting a value of 2.7. Okay. Okay. Let's say I'll add 1 and null. Okay. So it should give me 1. That's what I say. Okay. Let's say another I have is 1 and ABCD. Okay. And I say that you convert it into integer form and you give me 1. Okay. So this is the behavior I'm expecting. And I'm saying that this is the functionality I have written. Okay, so we'll just run it. How much time we have? Okay, so we did the test case and then I ran it. So basically the error it gives is calculator is not defined. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just define calcu. Okay, so again I'll refresh it. So then it says that you don't have an add function. Okay. So let's say I'll add a function. Okay, then I refresh it. So it says that all the test cases fail because it doesn't return everything. Okay. Let's say I'll add a param. Okay, so we are taking 2 parameters and we're returning the sum. Okay, so 4 cases passed and 1 failed. And it shows that expected value is 1, but it is doing 1 ABCD. So it's doing a string concatenation. So we could not handle one case. So it in a way shows you like what needs to be just handled. Okay. So I'll just show you the original function. Okay, so here is the original function. So at the only change I did at the first was if it is not a number, you make it a 0. Okay. So if now I run the case, So all the cases pass. Okay. So let's say you do any modification to this, you want to optimize that function. Okay. Then the only thing is, let's say you have, this is only one part I'll cover. Let's say you go on developing like this, and the entire code you have like unit test covered. Okay. So any change you make, at least if you run the test cases, you know that you have not done any fix which has broken something else somewhere. Okay? Because everything is unit testing and it's working. Okay? So the only thing you need to do is you just make a change and you run the test case. Okay? And if it passes and you feel like it can be refactored, you can refactor it and you can run the test case again. So, any advantages we get out of it? Any you can tell. Okay. Anyone wants to tell?
It will ensure like your alternative path, even if like you are making any changes, and if the test case is run successfully, then at any future time also you will ensure like yes, this function will definitely work.
Yes. So if you do any fix at night, you can go away, like have a good sleep, and you don't worry that okay, tomorrow morning I'll face some issue, and you go with a very good feeling that okay, everything will work. You believe it.
You won't be expecting any calls.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? Anything comes to your mind like what this can give you? You can see also.
It's the self-satisfaction. Like I have done all the things good, and
Yeah.
if suppose in the next, in future, any other developer will come, so here he can understand that like what exactly for that functionality will work according to the test cases.
Yes.
Like what
It's in a way, it's a documentation of a project.
Yes.
Okay. It's like what functions, like what are covered. Okay. And also like clients and customers, they would feel confident. Yes, my application is test covered. Okay. Because they like it gives a confidence, like Rosman said, satisfaction. Okay. And your tests are automated. Okay, so it can be added into a continuous integration process. Like let's say you're committing something into GitHub. So there are some flows like whenever you have hooks, some processes like you commit into Git, so that gets committed and that gets tested and that gets committed to the live server. So that can be made a continuous integration process. Okay, automation. So productivity increases, like you focus on what change you want to do in which specific part. You don't need to check like that function, is that broken? I remember like, okay, it was dependent on that. So you just focus on what you want to change.
But once you make a change, you have to rerun all the tests.
That is again, what I was saying was, you did a unit testing, there are two levels of testing covered. You covered the individual unit tests, like every unit is working. There is another like integrating all the unit tests into an end-to-end testing, like login function. You enter something, enter is working, Ajax is working. So all these units, when you do it in a stepwise, and it works for you in an end-to-end testing, then what? This is like you don't need to worry. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So everything is covered. Like unit testing is just one part of the testing. Like just because you have to integrate them, like how they are connected to each other, these units. Okay. And as I said, like testing can also drive the design of software. Like how we just saw like how we are going to develop that function, right? From starting, like first we need to do a new calculator. So that defines how we'll write the code. Then we call the function like calc.add, and we define like we would pass two parameters to it. So we are defining how the API will be constructed and all that. Okay.
Satej, can you hear me?
Yes, Satej.
Okay, Satej, I have questions here.
Yeah.
Does it include all major design patterns, or is it something like it is restricted to a specific design pattern?
I cannot say in a very detailed way, but Atul, it has plugins. Like if you can see this page here. Okay, so this is basically a unit testing framework, but
Yes.
not all design patterns are covered, I believe. Okay, so on top of it, like they have created wrappers to like some can be like a BDD testing, and some to like implement mocks. Okay,
Okay.
like you can see here promises. Okay, and to implement the dependency injection. So
Alright.
there have been plugins like which can be used with this to like enhance its functioning.
Okay. And Satej, does the function have to return something in order to assert? And what if the code is inside try and catch?
Basically, what I believe like a function should return something, right? Even if it
Yeah.
doesn't return, it will give undefined by default, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, so it's not okay. Can you repeat your question again, Atul?
Okay. My first question is if the function whether the function has to return something in order to assert to get the
In order to assert, yes, because you're always asserting a value against the expected value.
mhm.
Okay, so you are expecting something, and so there should be a return value. Okay,
Okay. And what if like we have added a code which is inside a try catch block?
okay.
So you have shown in the very first or second slide that we have an option to basically click on that checkbox which includes try and catch or exclude that. So
Eh,
how this is going to affect in our code?
Basically, like what I saw is that it says that this try catch is a basic manner, like it will show you like how uh, any exceptions can be caught and be displayed. Okay,
Mhm. Okay.
and let's say you want to catch some exceptions which are very prevalent in IE. Okay, because some codes they run in Firefox and Chrome very easily, but in IE they throw the exceptions.
Right.
And if you just want to see them, then you can just disable it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Satej.
Okay. So here you can see that. Just I'll show one example how jQuery is using it. So you can see here like I believe like if jQuery is able to use QUnit for its all implementation, then it can be used in any JavaScript, I believe. Because you can see that they're using it like they're testing it like they have this okay they have covered it with QUnit. So one thing which we just need to see is okay. I've not gone into very detail. Just a like TDD helps you in like you test it and you develop. Okay. There is another thing like behavior-driven development. It is like you write behavior and specification, okay, and then you develop based on that. What one can say is like even in TDD I write the behavior, I write it in comments, so it also is based on behavior. But the major difference is like when you write code in a BDD format, it feels like you're reading the specification. Okay. Here what we did was we did an assert, okay, and we are writing comments. But let me show you like how a BDD framework code looks like. So you can see here like you have a function, okay. It is describing like you are describing the test case, okay. Then you are defining it. So the framework is built in such a way that while you write it, it's like you're reading the specification, like you're describing it and you're expecting to be some true value, okay. So here you can see like you have functions called expect to be and not to be, okay. So here you say expect to match, not to match, to be defined, not to be defined. So it's generally like a difference in wording. So I wouldn't say like it's perfectly correct to say that it's a just a wording difference. So basically, this is the ability to read your test like a sentence is a cognitive shift in you and how you think about your tests. So it's just a how you write the tests, okay, and also like I've not gone into the detail, but what I believe is like it has its thinking with how the business works, okay, like let's say you have a feature, how that feature affects, what are the goals. So all this is taken into account and then you write the behavior driven tests. Okay?
I think for granular level, we can go with TDD.
Yes.
And for the let's say like the larger object, the larger goal, we can go with BDD.
Yes, for larger detailed like business specific goals we can go with this. So in the conclusion, like I think TDD is good, right? Yes. Okay. Any questions? It's basically you can start with TDD. After you have like you practice TDD, you can go to the BDD. Like they say, what you don't get with TDD, you go with like it, BDD provides you with that. So it's a high level, more sophisticated. Just like which kind of behavior you want. It depends. Like if you have a, I should not go into it because I've not gone into the very details of BDD. But it's more like you want to integrate some very business-like logic and specifications into your documentation. Okay. So in that way, you can. Maybe I'll say what's the difference more and which we should do and where applicable. And similarly, this is what I said. Like it's all about like a QUnit unit. Similarly, you have PHP unit. Okay. Anything else? Any question?
Any drawback or disadvantage? I see one. Like let's say when you're writing and like for your R example, right? You know like what are the different scenarios, so we have defined that, and when you are running and you are actually okay, this is going to work fine. But let's say like when you are writing the test case, if you missed one particular thing, and you are running the test, and every time it sounds okay, yeah, it's fine, but you are missing a particular scenario, right? So in that case, like you cannot ensure like even if your tests are run, your function is going to work 100% correctly on the life cycle.
So like this is the disadvantages with you of the test.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you
That
said
you have missed the point.
even if, let's say you're not written the test case, you wrote the function.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would miss because you missed the test case in your mind and you have not written the function for that. So it's that we think it and then we develop it.
Only thing
Here is that you are documenting your thinking and you're shaping the logic according to it.
Yeah, if you constantly improve your unit test.
Yes.
Here what I can say is what Dave is not telling, or I would like to add up is like that's why we won't need a third eye or something. What we say is like whenever we are writing developing something, we have a perspective, we have a particular logic we might be missing something. There we want because we will be writing test cases with the same logic which we will be developing. There we might be missing the test case which we need to add, where we need a third eye which might help us to add a particular test case which we might run and
Yes.
that is what. So everybody,
These cases you will think of the test cases right. The initial case also you can use the
that is what I am saying. What you are saying,
You used to like find all those bugs, like some scenario which is missed. Right?
Exactly.
So in that sense,
You will be successful like when you will think like you are a tester. Then only you will be successful.
You just add the test case and it would be okay for the whole time. That's what. In future.
But the thing is that, yeah.
another question: how to use functionality testing with TDD? Suppose I am using asynchronous for functionality testing. I am a bit confused how you use QUnit with it, so that both the objectives are met.
Both the
Like,
okay.
we can do functionality testing as well as implement QUnit. Is there a need of using any functionality testing?
Functional testing, like you are saying, there is a function, you are not initializing any objects, just functions. Even you use unit test for anything, it will work. It's basically that unit test helps you in writing unit modular code. So even that functional code can be unit, can be like written in a unit way. Okay.
Can you say after we get the output then?
Yes, like let's say you have a function, you are doing many things in it. Let's say very long function. That's not written like test keys, test first and this first, right? Let's say you first wrote it.
I mean, you mean to say we do black box testing in this and white box testing in right? I mean, internal things you are doing here.
Yes.
JVM.
Yes.
You can do like white box testing in functionality testing.
Okay, what basically I'm saying is that let's say you started this functional code. It's let's say very big. It's not unit, like let's say it's many things are repeated. Okay, let's say one function it's repeated, like let's say you are doing a regex check. So that check, like it's a big function, let's say 4 lines. It's again used, let's say, in the function. So this function cannot be unit tested because it doesn't consist of unit modules. Unit module means this regex has its own function. Let's say any functional code you wrote and you put it there. You pass it some value, it should return something. Then you write the test case for that, then you wrote this. This function can be used inside this big function.
No, my question is, if we are doing, if our approach is TDD,
Yes.
we are sure that this function is going to work accordingly.
Right. Yes.
Is there a need of doing functionality testing?
Functional testing means like you need to run it, you are saying?
Suppose, like you are using Celery.
Okay.
Like automatically everything is done the form is submitted.
Yes, yes.
You are filling in the details.
Yes.
you are thinking whether it's correct or not.
Yes.
I mean, it will work.
Yes.
If you have done this TDD
Yes.
approach, it will work.
Yes.
So is there a need of doing this kind of automated testing? Yeah.
You're saying unit testing? Like this TDD you're saying?
QUnit is already doing this. I mean, you are sure that this form will work, right? There are 5 input fields and you like that.
Okay. What you're saying is a different thing. Let's say this QUnit thing, it will help you with unit tests, like unit modular code. This code you used in your forms, okay, in your logic, etc. So that is a part, like what Selenium is a end-to-end testing. Okay, it tests the complete function. Like you logged in, then you clicked on a select button, you got a response, you took it into it redirected you to the different page. So that is end-to-end testing. So unit test is like your unit modules are working. When these are working, then your end-to-end testing will better ensure that your whole logic is working.
Even you can validate.
Yes.
And integration.
Yes. That Selenium can save it. Like after you do the unit test, that passes, then you can run the end-to-end testing. So that will say that okay, the entire feature is okay.
I mean, you can do unit testing here and integration testing here.
Yes.
Sometimes we end up writing a function that doesn't return anything.
Okay.
Suppose we are doing a click and it's loading something, but it's not returning. In that function, we are doing several stuff.
Okay.
How we are going to like assert those type of functions?
Synchronous call.
Okay, I think Atul, you also asked a similar question, right? Okay, he's not there. Okay, so you are saying, so we saw an example, I think. So let's say you did a click, you are expecting that, let's say, it will take some time, and you are doing an AJAX request. So after some time, you will get a response. Okay, or something will happen. So what you can do is, you can set your set time on, okay, or you can do a AJAX request. Then what you do is, you need not always like you execute that function. You need not pass it into the assert function. You just run that function. After some time, you do an assert of what you are expecting for that behavior. So after, let's say you clicked it, after let's say 5 seconds an AJAX request happens and you see something, some string variable or some HTML content changed. So you can do a regex against the document and you can search for that string. Okay?
But what happens actually in our project, like suppose there is a div present already. We have some content in that div, and I have searched for a specific element that does a autocomplete, and on selecting that, it will load the data for that element.
Yes.
And it will completely just remove that div and load the new data for it. Means everything is gone, like the class ID, everything gone, and it will load from the backend only. It will prepare the HTML and send to the front end, and it will load it. That
Suppose
is,
we are adding that being the class or ID or something unique kind of thing for that particular day. So we can just do the regex and check if that class or that ID is present or not.
Yeah. So what kind of behavior you are expecting?
means every time I get the response, I need to get that DOM depending on the ID or something. Then I need to go through the whole content of that div.
Okay, but what you want to test? Like, what is the feature you want to
The
test? Like,
autocomplete text. Suppose autocomplete functionality is there,
Once I autocomplete, it will load the data.
it will load the data.
okay, so you can test it. Like once, after some time, you can check what's the content. If the content, like let's say you can keep the previous content before clicking, and after clicking you will check if the content has changed. So you see that you are getting some response. Okay,
how we are going to assert it.
Yeah, you asserted that you got some change in the element. Okay?
Or once the function is
Run it.
completed.
After ran, you ran it, then you are checking the DOM, whether it has changed. Okay? Because you are saying it doesn't have any functionality to return. You're saying it does some behavioral change, like HTML change. So you can check after that function is run, whether some element is you are getting. Okay?
One question. Yes. Like, we can take this calculator example.
Yes.
Here for TDD and BDD, I think when the test cases will be different or the test cases will remain same. Like when I'm doing BDD and when I'm doing TDD.
The test cases will define like the language. Okay? With BDD, it's
what
more
I will
like
test, like here also I will test 7 plus 5 is 12, and in BDD also I will test the same thing.
yes,
7.
you are going to test the same thing. It just like what I think is it's how it's a different level. Like I'm not able to put that, but what I can say is like it's a different thinking involved in the testing. It's just a difference in how you write the test. You write the same test, like here also, here also.
It's only the language difference.
Language difference, and there is a need for the BDD. Okay, like it more like it is more suited to that purpose. Okay? Like more like feature kind, where you give the features more important. I'm not like much may convince you, but maybe in a later session I can check. Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.